Hello, my name is Steve Hammond. I'm here at Mr. Louis Kayo Erwin Sr.'s house today, and I'm representing the Grand Valley State University's Veteran History Project, and we're here to interview Kayo for his service for the country in World War II, and he's got quite a story to tell, especially concerning the USS Indianapolis. So, Kayo, why don't I just start out with where were you born and when?
I was born in Dayton, Tennessee. Moved to Chattanooga at 17 years old. I enlisted in the U.S. Navy.
Okay, when were you born? What date?
3rd and the 1st and 25, March the 1st, 25.
Okay. So, how was it like growing up in Dayton, Tennessee?
Repeat that for me, please.
How was it like growing up in Dayton, Tennessee?
Oh, just fine. I didn't live there too long. I moved, my folks moved to Chattanooga when I was very young, 16, 6 years old, probably. And just moved to Chattanooga. That's where I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee, until I went into the Navy.
Okay. So, tell me about your parents. What were they like?
Well, my parents were real nice and everything. Of course, I never saw my mother and father live together. They split.
Okay.
But I lived mostly with my mother, and then I lived with my grandparents in Big Springs, Tennessee. They had a farm, and I'd help on the farm, pick cotton, chop corn.
How was that like, farming like that?
Oh, there's plenty of work at all time. You never slow up. There's something to do at all time when you're brought up on the farm, but it's one of the best things in the world. I enjoyed it. My grandfather was great to me. He taught me a lot of things. He had a grist mill, and grind mill and things, and there was no money back then, and we just, when we'd grind people's meal, I just take a toll out of it, a little bucket about so high, take it out. It was corn then, just put it over in your barrel. That's what you got for grinding people's corn, which is grinding, which was all right with everyone else. And then my grandfather, he shod mules, and put shoes on mules and things like that. We made it, but it was hard. So but things was great.
Could you tell me your grandparents' name?
My grandparents' name is John Erwin, and my grandmother is Belle Erwin.
Oh. So basically this is during the Great Depression, as they call it now.
That is true.
Okay. Most people I've talked to that's lived through that, they feel that the farms were self-sufficient to the family, meaning that you basically fed yourselves from what was on the farm.
We did. We raised our own hogs and made our own gardens. And of course we'd pick our cotton, sell our cotton and our tobacco and things like that. And we had a little orchard there too. You canned your fruit with, made jellies out of it. And yes, it was all. You canned your sausage when you killed hogs and different things. And salted your meat down in the smokehouse. So everything worked out pretty smooth. Go to the woods and get you firewood. Cooked with stove wood. Lamps, had lamps with oil. No electricity, no icebox. No refrigerators, I should say. And things like that.
how did you keep your food stored and preserved?
We had a cellar, a little old spring run through, kept your milk in there and your butter in jars and different things. It kept it there. And the smokehouse was up over it, where you smoked your hams and different things.
Sounds like it was hard work, but it was very gratifying.
It was hard work, and but come 5 o'clock every morning, you hit the floor. And of course, at night, you get to bed pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
And everything turned out good. Of course, at Christmas time, you got popcorn balls and molasses balls and things like that.
Could you explain popcorn balls and molasses balls?
Oh yeah, popcorn balls is just popcorn popped, and you take molasses and pour on, make balls out of them like that. And you put your peanuts in them. That'd be what you crunch on for your geedonk.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know geedonk till you get in the Navy, though. Later,
Okay.
it's
Wow. Did your family own a radio?
no, we had no radio up there.
Okay.
No radio, no TV,
Okay.
no lights,
Okay.
no electricity.
No electricity at all. Okay. Okay. So now we're heading towards the beginning of World War II. How did you find out about the beginning of the war, especially when Pearl Harbor was bombed? How did you find that out?
Well, I'd moved to Chattanooga by then, and I was growing up. I was about 16 years old, and my brother, he's 2 years older than I am, and he joined the Marines, and he was at the Solomon Islands and Cape Gloucester, those islands. And I joined the Navy. I thought I could find him if I went from island to island. I got to missing him. I thought I would find him in my tour of the Navy, but I found out that it didn't work that way. So I looked for every island we'd go to. I'd ask if the 1st Division of Marines was on this island, and they'd say no, or who it was, or when you got to talk to them. Of course, you didn't get off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You just, when they'd come out and bring people, like you would ask them to holler down off the deck or something. And then when I come to find out, my brother had already caught malaria, and he is in Australia with malarial fever. So I never did catch up with my brother in there. Although my brother, he's made it through the war, and he's 93 years old now and still going.
Oh, wow.
So our tour during the service was good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Learn you a lot and teach you a lot. And my experience in the Navy, well, I wouldn't take anything for it. I know he's the same way about his tour through the Marine Corps.
Wow. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. I forgot to ask you this question. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I just have one brother,
Okay.
but I have half sisters
Mm-hmm.
and one more half brother.
Okay. And what are their names?
We call a half brother Bean.
Is there any reason why you call him that?
Yeah, my father named him Bean. He liked beans, so they just named him Bean. And there's Tommy Kay is one of the girls, and Shirley.
Hmm.
And I do have a half sister on my mother's side. Her name is Betty.
Hmm. Oh. And only one brother, and you served in the war?
Yes.
Okay. The others were too young, or?
Yeah, they were much too young.
Okay.
They were later on.
Okay. All right. Now, I forgot. Maybe I asked this, but how did you find out the news of Pearl Harbor was bombed?
Well, I throwed papers. Back when I come to Chattanooga, I had a paper route. My brother and I did. We shared one. And I see it on the papers, different things.
Okay.
And then every time you walk by the post office, it has a sign out, "I want you." And going joining the Navy, that's what got me when I walked by the Federal Post Office down on between 10th and 11th, I believe it was, on Market Street. Might be 9th and 10th. I forget them. But anyway, see the signs out, and just I really miss my brother, and I wanted to find him.
Okay. So then, what year did you sign up in the Navy?
I signed up December the 26th. No, I left December. I signed up right before Christmas, about the 20th of December, and I was shipped out of Chattanooga on December the 26th, 1942.
Okay.
Went to Nashville and took my exam over there. And then they sent me from there to Dago, California, where I went through my boots.
Okay. And how was that, the training?
Oh, training was rough. You had to learn a lot of things. You had to do a lot of marching, first one thing and another. Just had to do quite a few things. And they learn you discipline in there. Learn you how to do your own clothes, and first one thing and another. They put the works to you going through boot camp. Put you on the grinder a lot. You hit that grinder every morning for your drills and everything, and then they march you 5 miles to a swimming station where you learn how to pass your swimming test. You learn to swim 2 times the length of the pool, and then you have to get up on a diving board. It's about 40 feet high, and dive off, go down, pull your pants up, tie the legs together, bring it over your head, and get you some air in there. Learn how to float on there.
Was there a lot of anxiety at that time with all of you knowing the situation you're going to go into?
Yes. We kept waiting to, catch a ship or where it's going to be stationed and all. Back then, they'd send them out. They was hurting for men and everything. And it didn't take you long if you wanted a ship. They'd find you one. And I happened to be very, very lucky. I caught the USS Bunker Hill. That's a flat top. And they shipped me to Pearl Harbor, where I was lucky enough to get on the USS Indianapolis, which I am very, very proud to serve aboard that Indianapolis. It has a wonderful, good record. It went through 10 major battles. I fought in 8 of those major battles.
Okay, but before we get into the battles, tell me a little bit about the flat top Bunker Hill. What that was like.
It's just when you got a bunch of people, or it don't have to be a bunch, 4 or 5, it has to catch a ship or something. They'll put it on another ship and transfer them out. There was no such thing as flying, and you had to ship them on a ship. And I just accidentally happened to Hucker. It's where a ship is going, and they want to take men to pick up, like to Hawaii or Pearl Harbor, which is the same place. Well, that's when they put me on the Bunker Hill, and you just got your life jacket and your roll-up bag, your sea bag, and that's what you sleep on and everything on the deck until you get to where you're going. So they put you off at Pearl Harbor. Well, the ship hadn't gotten there yet. So they put us in little barracks up in Iwo. They had a lot of dull pineapple fields, and you could see on both sides of the road going up there to the bunks where they kept you till your ship got there, and then you went aboard your ship. And they assigned you a division on there.
Okay.
My division was the 4th Division, which is a deck division, which handles the 5-inch guns.
Now, did you know you were going to the Indianapolis while you were on the Bunker Hill?
Yes,
Okay.
I had my orders.
Before, obviously, well said there that you were proud to serve with the Indy, which I don't blame you. I would be too. Before you went to that, were you reluctant to be on a ship like that, or did you want to stay in the Bunker Hill, or didn't it matter, or basically, I'm asking, what was your reaction when you first saw the Indy?
Well, really it didn't matter what ship, but when I did see the Indy, it was a great ship, and it's a cruiser, it's heavy cruiser, it's riding under a battle wagon. I said, yeah, that's for me.
Oh.
I did prefer a destroyer to start with, but
Mm-hmm.
after I got on the cruiser, and there's more men on the cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the destroyers are a little faster and all, but I prefer a cruiser.
Okay.
It had a little larger guns. Its main battery was 8-inch guns.
Mm-hmm.
Second battery was the 5-inch. And then come the 40mm mounts. And then 20s and 50s.
Wow. So this is like, when was this when you first came aboard the Indy? What date was this around?
I caught it. It's either the last of April or the first of, around the 1st of May. It could have been between 1st of May and the 15th of May.
Okay.
Just when it come down from
Mm-hmm.
Attu and Kiska. I don't remember the exact date I caught the Indianapolis. But it was in, we didn't stay up there long in the IEA.
Okay. So, now you can explain your the battles you were in.
Well, I started at Tarawa. That's a small island. And we got there, it was all green and everything. You didn't even see no buildings to mount anything. So the planes, they'd scrape it every day, and we'd bombard it. And then they'd come over and drop bombs. To about, I guess, the 5th or 6th day, you almost see from one side of the island to the other. And but on the landing day, you look out behind you, where you had been in next to the ship, where you had been going up and down the coast bombarding it. And also we had 2 planes on there at spot for us. It shot off of a caterpillar,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd go out and spot for you and tell you about that if you wasn't on the radar, and tell you how far you were off or where you were. Or they'd call you for peels where they were in the mountains or caves or different things. Different things in there. And on landing day, you just turn around and look behind you. Here's all that landing craft out here. And they come in, and we're still bombarding. And they're still trying to get in there. And the coral reef caught the Marines and everything, and they mowed over 2,000 of them down on the landing at Tarawa.
Wow.
And that's, when you run into that coral reef, it's deep until you get up to where you hit it, and then it's about knee deep, and you got to come up out of the water, and when they start running, they just mow them down. And of course, our ship was out in the deeper water, but when the Higgins boats come in with them to land and drop the ramp, they drop the ramp on it, and they just caught a lot of them and mowed them down when they was landing there.
Wow.
And then after Tarawa, we went to the Marshalls, the Marianas, the Gilberts, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, Iwo Jima, got hit at Okinawa with a suicide plane. Had killed 9 men and wounded 38. And we had to go in a little old cove like that and get patched up. The plane hit on main deck aft and went down and blowed the valves out and blowed holes in the bottom of it. And we had to get that patched up. And then back to the United States and got overhauled. And then we went to Hunters Point. After I had a shakedown cruise, we went to Hunters Point and took on component parts of the atomic bomb, which our secret mission was Tinian, and where we put the bomb off and put it on the Nola Gay. Guam and Tinian is right there, you just a passageway in between there. So after we dropped the bomb off, we went back to Guam and fueled up. We left there and headed for Leyte in the Philippines. We've been gone about 5 days. We've been about halfway between Leyte and the port that we just left, and we got sunk. And we spent 5 days and 4 days and 5 nights in shark-infested water. We lost 883 men on that sinking of the ship. We stayed in the water 4 days and 5 nights with only a Kapok life jacket. If you're not familiar with a Kapok life jacket, you can look on that sign right there, and there's 2 of them on there.
Okay. Could you explain it briefly, what it is?
Yeah, a Kapok life jacket is good for 72 hours. It's a big life jacket. You put your arms in it and pull it around and lace it on you, and has big sleeve-like things to hold you on. Or not sleeves, it's inflated, well, they're thick and all that. And after we hit the water and all things, after midnight, we swam out as far as we could to get away from the ship. And I turned around and looked, and all I could see was a fantail going down and the screw still turning. And the next morning while we started grouping, getting together, and it's got little latches on where you hook on to the next man. And I was in Dr. Haynes' group, which is totaled out to be a little over 200, 250 men or something like that. And when they picked us up, well, there's 56 of us. The sharks, and where they drink salt water, they go berserk and see things, and see an ice cream stand here, or the ship come back up, or a beer joint here and this, and they just take off their life jacket and start swimming towards it, and you try to tell them, hey, that's not true, and stay here in the group. Maybe they get all picked up, but they just keep swimming. The first thing they go out of sight. At night you can hear a lot of screaming. You know that sharks had them or whatever it may be.
What was the main, what would you say was the main reason that kept you out there going for those 5 days? That kept you alive, that you feel?
I wanted to get back home, see my mother, my brother, and just get thinking about home and things like that, and try to have a hard wheel to lay off of that salt water. Of course, you had nothing to eat either, and you'd get so thirsty and want to drink water. Food didn't quite bother me as much as the water did. Just wanting some, dying for thirst. I figure that I had maybe maybe one more day
Mhm.
that I could, if I could survive that night, why, maybe I could make it another day. And then another thing would help you out. You could see planes flying over, but they'd be so high that they couldn't see your head sticking out of the water. And you also were covered with oil.
Mhm.
And then you were eaten up with that life jacket and salt water around your neck. On the pits of, excuse me, on the pits of your arm, you're growing where that where your buckle come up through here and rubs you raw, all that stuff.
Well, what I always ask this question. It's a common question for Indianapolis survivors being asked. Tell me about the sharks, if you want to.
Well, the sharks, they visit you often, every day or something. When I'd see them coming, I'd take my legs and pull them up just as high as I could to my chest, and just hoping they'd swim on by. Sometime they might touch you on the leg, or sometime it might be a foot or two away, or 6 foot away. And try to stay out of their way and stay as quiet as you can be. First night, to scare them off, we started splashing water and everything. That's the wrong thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was fish and they'd come closer. It's wanting to feed.
Mm-hmm.
But every day you had hope. And that day, time where you pray for night, where you be cool, and night where you get so cold, where you pray for daytime, where you warm back up. Pardon me for getting so hoarse.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
It gets on your mind.
Okay, when you abandoned the ship, you obviously jumped in a lot of oil, like most of you did.
Yes,
And that was covered with you until you were rescued, obviously.
it was.
Did you have trouble itching and getting it in your eyes and your mouth and your nose and all that stuff?
No, I kicked all my clothes off the first night, the shoes and everything. And they just pulled me down and trying to save the life jacket. So I took off my socks and saved them. And I'd take my socks, wring them out, put them over my eyes in the daytime and nighttime, and keep that salt water, try to. But when you sort of pull that off, and all the salt water and the glare from the water would just burn your eyes real bad. And usually I just, when this got sort of dry up here, I'd just take it and wet it and put it over my eyes and close my eyes. Use my socks that way.
Okay, did you see Chuck Gwynn's plane spot you?
I did.
Okay, how was that?
That was a sight to see. So, we saw him come over pretty low, and then he went out and made a turn, come back in, and he opened the bomb doors to check some wires or something. He looked down there and saw all those heads. And he went back to drop a bomb on us, for he thought we was Japanese, and he flew so low he saw us all waving at him. And he come on in, and then he made another turn, come around, and he dipped his wings, and then he went and got some help. In fact, I am one of the 56 that got picked up by the PBY, Adrian Marks, Lieutenant Adrian Marks' plane. He wasn't supposed to land out there on account of choppy water. It's so choppy and everything, and they told him not to land, but in the group I was in, he saw the sharks attacking the men. So he set his plane down, and he'd taxi around, and we'd swim between the pontoon and the fuselage, and they'd throw us in line and pull us in. got about 20 in the fuselage, and then they shut the engines off, started taking us out there and putting us on the wing of the plane and tying us down with parachutes, and started putting who they take in the fuselage in. And we stayed on the wing of the plane until the Cecil J. Doyle got there the next morning. They started taking us off. And after they got us all off, and Lieutenant Marks got his men off of it, and they sunk the plane. You know what? The PBY, it took 20 millimeters from, or shooting from the Cecil J. Doyle. There's a picture of them over there where they sunk the plane.
Okay. Can't see it from here, but oh.
See right there, this first black picture there, see this black smoke going up?
Yep.
That's sinking the plane.
Well,
Keep people from getting it. You will find that if you read Abandoned Ship. It's that picture's in there.
Oh wow.
It's in mine over there, so I'm sure it may be in some of the others, but I know it's in this picture right here.
Now, were you one of the sailors that were tied to the wing?
Yes.
Were you? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. The first thing they did after they got us tied down to the wing, they brought out some water, and Lieutenant Dr. Haynes had a little cup just about like that. He'd pour out the cup full and hand it to one, say take two sups, and then pass it to the next man. And all of them down through there till they run out. Every man just took 2 sups. That's all they got. And then he'd pass another cup. You'd have to take it, pass it on down. That was one of the first things they did. And just told you to take 2 sups.
Now, when the Doyle rescued you, how did they do about it? Did they tie you up, bring you? Just tell you how you got on the ship.
After I forget his Sutton, I believe was his captain. I'm not sure about it. Anyway, he turned your spotlight on, and you could see it coming this way. And after we first got on the ship, most of them could not climb the ladder. They'd have to help them up the ladder to get up. After you climbed up it's a rope ladder to get up to the side. They come over there from the ship in rubber rafts and took us off the plane, and then took us back to the Cecil J. Doyle. And the ones that could climb, they took them up there and took your skivvy, cut your skivvy off and turned the hose on you, try to get that oil off of you. And those men were very, very nice. They give us their bunks. The ones that were stationed on, they give us their bunks, and we stayed in those bunks until, well, the next morning when they started sinking the plane, I come out of the bunk and some more did too. Said, here we go back in the water. But then they stopped us and told us they was just sinking the plane. So the Cecil J. Doyle took us to Peleliu, where we was put in Peleliu there for about 4 or 5 days in little makeshift hospitals. And then the USS Tranquility hospital ship come by and took us, and then took us to Guam. They put us on the hospital ship for a while, and they took us to Guam, where we went to Bay 18, Hospital 18 there, and they kept us in there. And it was about the 16th of August when I found out that the atomic bomb had been dropped in no, I'm good. I'm good. That's atomic. That the war had ended.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I found out. And that's when the secret mission come out about USS Indianapolis carrying component parts of the atomic bomb there.
Okay. Were all of you happy, sad, proud that you helped end the war?
Oh, you could hear them roaring
Mm-hmm.
all over the hospital. Of course, it's good to you there at the hospital. It's made ice creams in buckets, chocolate and vanilla and thing. After you got through with your chow, they set buckets of ice cream on that thing, trying to get some of our weight back and everything. We'd all done lost a lot of weight,
Mm-hmm.
and it was real nice to us.
How much ice cream did you eat?
Every time I got a chance of it, I wanted to. And today I still eat ice cream.
What, was it just one flavor? Did you have a
No.
choice?
Well, you either had two choices, chocolate or vanilla, and it didn't make no difference. It was cold. It could have been any kind of ice cream,
What's your favorite ice cream today?
any of it. but I'm usually a vanilla man. I'm a Klondike guy by now.
I don't blame you for any of that.
And then every time you see me, mostly unless I'm sitting like it, you'll see me with a glass of water beside me. I keep water beside me. And I drink a lot of water.
Well, that's good for you.
Yeah, it's been real good out there if it had some.
I bet. Now, when you were out there floating around, and then later when you were rescued, when you're floating around in the ocean, all of you covered in oil, did you know who your shipmates were around at that time? Did you know them by name or just?
No.
Okay.
No, now after I got on the plane, put in the center of the plane, I saw one of my buddies. He was in my division. I saw him, recognized him. Ed Brown, he's a big fella.
Mm-hmm.
He was young. He hadn't been on the ship near as long as I had, but me and him was sort of buddies, and I'd put him on a work party. I was coxswain, he was a seaman first, and I'd usually put him on a work party or something, and he'd tell me, he said, why you always call my name? Put me on this work party. I said, well, look, I ain't got too much education. I can't spell a lot of these guys' names, and your name's Brown, Ed Brown, and I can spell Brown. And he cussed me out, and I said, that's one reason you don't know all these details. But we was Liberty buddies also.
Sure, yeah.
And even after he made it and come back to the States, he's passed on now. He's a California
Mm-hmm.
boy. But we run around at reunions and
Mm-hmm.
different things and go splice the main brace and all that. Splice the main braces and go have a drink.
I'm going to back up just a little bit longer. When the ship was hit by the torpedoes, where were you at?
Just come off the H-12 watch, laid down in my hammock on the port side. I swung my hammock. I'd been on there long enough then. I'd been on the ship well over 2 years. And at night, you couldn't put it up to them at night. And I'd go swing my hammock under a 40-millimeter mount. And I just hit my hammock, and when a torpedo, first two torpedoes hit, knocked me out of the sack and I run the starboard side where he'd done listed starboard side. And look, she done give a big pitch. So I run back to the port side and around the bathtub up there. They had what we call a bathtub, where 20 millimeter guns were. That's where this one man operates it, and he's got a shield around him, and he strapped in his thing. Well, around the side was life jackets, so I carried a big knife. We made knives on there. I carried a big knife, and I just started cutting them life jackets down and passing them out till she give another big list, and they said, "Hey, Erwin, you better get off." So I run down the side and dove in and swum as far as I could, or for what I thought was a good distance. Looked back, and I just saw the fantail going there with the 4 screws turning.
Okay. All right. So then, after you were rescued, went to Guam and all that stuff, and you were recovering. What happened after that? Did you go back stateside? Did you, all of you, or how'd that happen?
After the ones that were able, after they released us at the hospital on Guam, while we come back on the Hollander, a bunch of us, this picture here right here show you coming back on the Hollander there, and that's me right there in front. And the basket cases come back another way.
Okay.
And they come off in basket. And we come back to Dago, California.
Mm-hmm.
We got off at Dago, California. Of course, the Red Cross was waiting on us, and a gang of us. They had a little parade for us coming up through their main street there at Dago, California. And guys would run out to bars and hand you a bottle of beer or a glass of beer or something and cheer and all. And then they'd put us up there in IEA till we got our, issued us some clothes. We didn't have no clothes. Only clothes we had was a set of dungarees. And that's all we had. They give us shoes and dungarees when we got picked up over there. We was all naked as pick a bird when we come on there. And they issued us clothes, and then we got a 30-day leave, and I come back to Chattanooga. After the 30-day leave, you had to have points to get out then.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have 44 points, and got 10 for being married, and just a half point for over there. Took a long time to get enough points to get out. Some of them had enough with their marriage, different things, so they sent me back to Nashville and got over there where they had my orders ready and was going to send me back to Coronado, California for amphibious training.
Mm.
And I said, hey, I got 38 points, got nearly enough to get out, and they're dropping points too. And they said, no, you're going back to Dago, to Coronado, California. So they shipped me back to California, put me in amphibious training. Took 3 months to take the course. And done a half a month. Then my orders come in, and if I wanted to get out, I could get out. They come and ask me, was you going to make this a career or not? I said, no, not after this, it doesn't happen. I was going to when I went in when I was 17. I had 20 years I could got out with 20 years of experience, and had me a nice pension and everything, but I got out and come back to Memphis, Tennessee, and they discharged me in Memphis.
Hmm. Now, where were you when you found out the information they were going to court-martial? Well, first of all, before I say this, did you have any interactions with Captain McVey at all? Did you talk to him at all on the ship? Anything?
No, I could see him a lot from my gun, from gun 8, when he'd walk out on the bridge up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd come out there, and he's liable to holler down at you sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, the guy next to him, when he was on there, he had to have his sleeves rolled down.
Okay.
and they'd catch a lot of us without our sleeves rolled down, and they'd holler down there, roll your sleeves down. And I just see him from the bridge up there.
Mm-hmm.
No, now he caught a life raft, but there's some guys in the life raft with him.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know one that started our reunion, Giles McCoy. He's a Marine,
Mm-hmm.
and him and a few more started this reunion. And he was in the raft with McVey, and there's about 4 more in there, I think.
Hmm.
There's, of course, I didn't see it till the rafts and the men floated one way, and we floated the other way.
Mm-hmm.
We'd come off the port side.
Hmm.
And that's, I don't know how he controlled his raft or anything.
Right, that's fine. Father Thomas Conway, did you see him out in the water, and did you ever act with him on the ship? Yeah, meet him on the ship?
Not active on the ship. I did see him in the water.
How was that?
It was sad when he would come around and test, see if this guy was dead,
Mm-hmm.
different things. Take his dog tag off,
Mm-hmm.
put it on his arm, carry it around, and that'd be bad. And then after he went away, he'd give all, after he deceased, before he deceased and all, he'd give all of them to Dr. Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Haynes done the rest of them. See, the highest ranking officer, if something like that happens, you're the guy he goes to. You're the one that everybody goes to it.
Mm-hmm.
He takes command, I should say. And he's in charge of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And the men in the water and everybody be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 56 that got picked up.
Okay.
But there was around 200 to 250. Could have been a little more, a little less. You couldn't see all of them, but
Mm-hmm.
water was choppy, and you were up and you were down.
Sure, big squalls, right?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
water was awful rough.
Yeah. All right. Where were you when you got the news that your captain was being court-martialed?
I don't remember what year it was. Of course, when they first got to you, I don't even know what island this was. I believe it was in the hospital. They come around and told you to write a letter down, exactly what you done, or where you was at on the ship. I wrote that letter where I was done and what it was and all that stuff. And I don't exactly. It's in 1968, I believe it was. And, we started. He made 2 reunions, I believe he made.
Mm-hmm.
And in '68, and I think the organization notified me. I believe that's how I found out.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, I found out in the paper, I read it, where he had been court-martialed.
Mm-hmm.
I know it took us 50 years to exonerate him.
Right.
I believe that happened in 2001, 2001 or 2002. I'm not sure about it.
So, how did you feel about them court-martialing your captain?
Felt real bad, real hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He done all he could. He is a very fine captain. We all liked him. If he was a young man now and I was a young man, had to go serving under him, I'd be more than proud to serving under him. In fact, Captain Bay was strictly a good man, and he's a good man. I guess, talk to him, maybe at one of those conventions.
Mm-hmm.
I probably did, but I don't remember exactly.
Okay. All right, now back to more personal stuff. When did you get married, and how many children do you have?
I got married in May the 4th in 1946.
Mm-hmm.
Married a real nice girl. We were married for 62 plus years.
Mm.
We have 2 great children, Kayo and Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful son. She's a wonderful daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord's blessed me with a nice family. And everybody around me, I'm pretty well fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Got good friends, and good neighbors, and everything. And so everywhere I go, I try to make friends and try to be nice to each and everybody. Got a good name. Everywhere I go, ain't too many can say too much about him, but he must have drank too much whiskey or beer when he was young. Well, I happened to be in the beer business for about 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a distributor company. I was manager.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as I know, I don't have an enemy in the world, so
Okay.
I'm proud.
So, what did you do for a living after the war?
I went in the beer business,
Okay.
and I drove a truck for 7 years for Falls. Well, I worked for Gerst Brewing Company out of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Gerst had a brewery over there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to work for Ellis Distributing Company.
Mm-hmm.
He had Falstaff, Heineken's, Black Label. We had about 10 or 12 brands. And I stayed there 35 years. Drove a truck for him 7 years, and then he promoted me to contact man and then manager.
So, trying to think here. You have grandchildren, great-grandchildren?
Well, actually, I don't have. They're not blood grandchildren, but my son has his second wife
Mm-hmm.
has children, and he has grandchildren. Here's all of them. Well, here's where I talk in school sometimes.
Okay.
Here's a grandchild
Okay.
right here, and there's a whole picture of them over there. Well, there's 5 great-grandchildren on Kayo's side,
Mm-hmm.
which they all call me. What do they call me?
Papa.
Papa or something, yeah.
Tell me how you got the nickname Kayo.
I got it in school, and they used to have a little old cartoon paper, newspaper, had a cartoon in it.
Mm-hmm.
Had Kayo. He worked at a gas station, and he wore a little old gas cap and all that stuff. And he was small, and when I was going to school, they accused me of sleeping in dresser drawers and everything else. So they just named me Kayo.
Obviously, you like the nickname.
Yeah, I like it. It's been through school, it's been everywhere, been through the Navy, all through. Half the people can't tell you my full name.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my dad, he is in the beer business for 50-something years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Hubert Ervin, but they call him Buttermilk. Buttermilk. Hey, you could walk down the street with 1,000 people, and they ain't one of them. Every one of them would have called him Buttermilk,
Wow.
not knowing his name is Hubert. And that's and Kayo, Kayo Jr. He's been long. I forget how long he's been in the boat business, and I bet you they can't tell you his name other than Kayo Erwin.
Mm.
They know him by Kayo Erwin, not Lewis Harold Erwin. Kayo Erwin.
All right. When the movie Jaws came out, that was actually the first big exposure that the Indianapolis had. Did anybody come up to you and ask you about questions about that then?
A few, yeah, quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
And I did go see the movie.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did go see the movie and learn all about Captain Quinn
Mm-hmm.
and all that, about him telling about the shark bit him on the leg
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. And a lot of it looks pretty bad, but you know, it's, them was all the big sharks he had.
Right, yeah.
Swatter boats and everything.
Okay.
A big thing, pulling them off. This, I don't know, I don't even know if Quinn was on that boat.
No, I think he was made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a made up character.
I have something in my hand right here now. It's a sailing list.
Mm-hmm.
It was made off of the long years ago, and all of it's got the deaths on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got deaths right out, and the ones that's wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And if your name ain't on there, you ain't no survivor.
Okay, when you went to the first reunion in 1960, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I had heard all of you saluted the captain when he came off the plane. How was that? Can you explain that to me?
Well, yeah, we saluted him and all. And I'm not sure if I had a 1960 convertible then. I'm not sure if he rode in that convertible or not from the airport. I think we had a parade for him. I know my convertible was in that parade.
So, when they finally exonerated the captain, was that fantastic news for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. We tried so hard. We tried so hard to get him exonerated. And we finally got him exonerated. I'm just sorry that, very, very sorry that he wasn't there to see that he got exonerated. I'm sorry that he took his own Navy revolver
Mm-hmm.
and committed suicide in 1968. I
Yeah,
believe it was October.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
That was a tragedy.
Yeah, that hate mail got him and everything else.
I'm trying to think my next question here as we conclude the interview here. Why do you think that all the stories of World War II that almost everybody knows, like Pearl Harbor, Midway, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, Battle of the Bulge, D-Day, all that over there is widely known, and obviously the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When people mention the Indianapolis, they really don't even know what the ship was or all about. Why is that? And there's like 13 books I heard that's written on the Indianapolis. Why is it that the general public of this country really doesn't know a lot about that ship and the ordeal that you went through, in your opinion?
Well, the reason it happened right there at the end of the war,
Mm-hmm.
and they just looked over that like they do small things, and they promoted the end of the war more than they promoted that, and it just didn't have the media that it should have had. Like to that young boy
Mm-hmm.
got a hold of it,
Mm-hmm.
and he got a hold of those commissioners. Hunter Scott,
Mm-hmm.
he's that 12-year-old boy, and when he went there, when they was trying to clear the captain's name, that's when it started.
Mm-hmm.
Most at promoting and different things. Our reunions, they help a lot. They get out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But right there, and another thing, it didn't happen none. we didn't talk about it.
Right.
We, you can ask my son or anything. It's very seldom for years and years it's ever mentioned. And really didn't start mentioning it till getting letters from people and wanting to find out about their relatives, you know, so and this and that and the other. And it just didn't get what it should have got.
I agree. I believe it should be more known than what it is. Now, I know you get this reaction when you're wearing your survivor shirt, like when you're in parades or out in public. I get it. I'm wearing an Indianapolis shirt too, as you can see. I wear it during Memorial Day parades and Veterans Day parades because I march with the Boy Scouts. Because I'm a Boy Scout leader. And I get people come up to me in Grand Rapids, Michigan saying, "Hey, I know that ship." "Oh, okay, sure." And they either believe it was a ship in Pearl Harbor that they saw that's leaking oil, which is the Arizona. I keep telling them, "No, that's the wrong state." And then I've gotten responses saying, "Oh yeah, the Independence, yeah, that aircraft carrier." And they're like, "No, wrong type of ship." I just tell them, you know, they really don't know. And then of course I get people tell me that they knew this person down there. And like you said, I got the book I normally carry with me. I don't when I'm on parades, but I look up the name. Nope, sorry, they weren't on the ship. Most of the time they don't, but sometimes they have a lost at sea member up there in Michigan that's related to them. One of them is one of my fellow scout leaders. That's her great uncle, named Ralph Engelsman, that was lost at sea. But anyway, you've had people come up to you on that too, have you?
Yeah, some of them don't know how you even see some of these guys. They can see the Purple Heart on the head. They don't even know what the Purple Heart is.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot about Indianapolis, and then some of them know about it, but most of them don't know about Indianapolis. Really, it should have been in history books. They should put it in history books. And I don't anymore like I did. I go to schools and talk. This is the 5th grade at one of the schools in North Chattanooga, and there's some great Baylor. Been to Baylor and just different ones, and there's a lot of people coming. They writing history. Stories on history, and they come here and bring their kids here and get them. They get pretty good grades on what they take and different things around them. But the kids just don't learn nothing about it in school.
Yeah, and that's pretty sad. I feel too. Sarah Vladeck, I think, her documentary that's coming out. I was at the last reunion with all you guys, and I saw it too. What did you think about it?
Well, I really didn't, you know, the whole thing. I don't co-op it at all. I don't know exactly, but I think it's gonna. If it gets out there, I believe it'll open some eyes. And I like it and everything, like the deal that somebody's thinking enough of it to do something like and make a movie out of it and all. More of a movie about what the men know that was aboard the ship, what they do, not what somebody puts out there like something that's just impossible.
Right, I understand that, and I know what you're talking about there wholeheartedly. But I thought it was a very excellent movie that I saw, documentary that she made, and I really think that's going to help get the story out more than anything so far.
Yeah, and then in that film festival, it got a #1 rating, I believe it was, wasn't it?
Oh, good.
Yeah, and that's where they bring all these big wheels and things, and they look at this movie. Is that what that is?
I'm not sure.
It's a film festival, yeah.
Okay.
Film festival, and they rate that thing, and they bring I guess commanders, captains, or admirals or something to it. No, they rate that thing. If I'm not mistaken, it's rated #1. And
Oh, that's good.
It's real nice. And that Sarah's worked her butt off about that.
I could tell, and when I talked to her at the reunion last month, yeah, she really did. She did an excellent job.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those people around her has too. And of course, I've been interviewed. It took me about 5 hours over at Geographical.
National Geographic, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
They got something coming out.
Yep.
And they kept me in that sack over there about 5 hours.
Wow. Couple quick questions and then we'll be done, okay?
Oh, sure.
One question, I know I was at the reunion last year, the 70th anniversary reunion. They talked about, and it was from Robert Ballard from National Geographic that found the Titanic, Yorktown, and the Bismarck, 3 famous ships, obviously. He talked about finally going down, finding your guys' ship, where it sank in the Marianas Trench in the Philippine Sea. Tell me how you feel about that.
I wish they could find it. I wish they could find it, and it was where they could send divers and things down there, see what's left of the ship. And I don't know how that acts or some of the compartments they lock up. I don't know what happens to all those men down in there. But we figure about 200 or maybe more went down in the ship.
It's possible.
Now I do know, when that suicide hit on main deck aft, went down there and blowed the vaps out, they dogged them hatches down. And there's one guy froze right on the rail. We had to prise his hand off the rail. He was starting to come up, but he froze on that rail.
Wow.
And he's still down that compartment when we pumped it out.
Wow.
So I just wonder if there's been, or what's happened to them down there in that compartment.
Their remains and stuff, yeah.
Their remains.
Yeah. I don't know, it's possible, I guess. I'm not sure. You know, one thing I have to tell you too, Kayo, is I am working on a memorial up in Michigan, the Knights of Michigan State Capitol on the Indianapolis. And what it's going to be about, it's going to be about all those that served on the Indianapolis from the state of Michigan. And I forgot to bring the outline that we have of it, but that's what I'm going to start raising money for soon. And it's going to be about the servicemen from Michigan with their names on it. You know, I guess Dick Thalens gave me a figure. It was over 50 men that was on that from the state of Michigan. But I do also believe it's going to give more exposure to your ship and your guys' ordeal too. Because I get so many people come up and ask me about the ship too, because of my connections with it now. So anyway, I just want to let you know I am doing something like that.
Good.
For all of you.
Good.
Not just for the guys from Michigan, you know, but I really feel driven by this. And like I told you before this interview, you and all the other survivors remind me of my father. That was in the Navy in World War II. So anyway, I just want to let you know that. And also, one last thing, if you got anything else you'd like to tell me about anything.
Talking about Michigan, my best Liberty buddy, his name is Carilla, Mike Carilla.
Okay.
He's passed on now. He survived the sinking, but he's passed on. And me and him pretty good buddies. We're Liberty all the time.
Wow. So, well, anyway, anything else you would like to add?
No, I guess I'm pretty well through.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you very much for your service, obviously, and especially for your service aboard the Indianapolis.
Certainly, you're welcome.
And I thank you very much for letting me in your home and to talk to you about this thing.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, thanks, Kayo.
You bet, buddy.